For nearly 2 years, 50 Cent worked on a documentary aimed at exposing Diddy. Now that project has been released, and the footage is explosive. It includes never-before-seen confessions from Keef D, hidden meanings uncovered in Diddy's own lyrics, and a bombshell allegation involving $1 million hit on Tupac. The documentary presents what it claims as evidence, finally bringing long-standing questions into the light. 50 Cent spent years building something substantial, a documentary project centered entirely on Diddy. With Diddy now sitting in a prison cell, that work is finally being revealed. Given the widely known and long-running feud between Curtis 50 Cent Jackson and Sean Combs, questions naturally arise about what drew him to this project and whether anything in the footage surprised him. The timing of the release was deliberate. 50 Cent reportedly chose ABC strategically, as it is one of the few networks accessible inside federal prisons, ensuring that Diddy could watch from his cell. Exclusive footage obtained by Netflix shows Combs debating legal strategy with his attorneys. In one moment, he is heard saying, "Listen to me. I'm going to get off the phone right now, and I'm going to let you professionals look at the situation and come back to me with a solution." The documentary spans more than 30 years of Diddy's career. Director Alexandria Stapleton highlighted the extensive research behind the project, noting that the team spent months conducting due diligence, bringing the right voices to the table, and assembling a comprehensive examination of Diddy's rise and the allegations that followed. But Diddy's legal team quickly pushed back. They responded immediately, labeling the project a shameful hit piece that they claim relied on stolen footage. According to them, it was fundamentally unfair and illegal to use private recordings, including conversations with his lawyers that were never meant to be seen by the public. Netflix, however, stood its ground, maintaining that every piece of footage was obtained legally. The material includes explosive recordings from just days before Diddy's arrest, conversations with his attorneys, phone calls with his son Justin, and private moments that someone with that level of power would never expect the world to witness. One observer noted how rare it is to see someone under that level of national scrutiny so unguarded, adding that watching his final days of freedom offered a striking perspective. What ultimately shifted the narrative, however, was the involvement of a central figure in the Tupac murder investigation, Greg Kading, the former lead detective on both the Tupac and Biggie cases. For years, his work remained largely buried, but now it has moved into the spotlight. A retired LAPD detective, Kading has publicly stated that he believes he solved the murder of rapper Tupac Shakur, who was fatally shot in Las Vegas nearly 2 decades ago. Kading claims he has evidence alleging that Sean Diddy Combs orchestrated the killing. His investigation, previously detailed in the book, has now been adapted into a documentary. Kading laid out exactly how the alleged conspiracy unfolded, pointing to the escalating rivalry, the perceived need for a preemptive strike, and the same name that surfaced from the very beginning. At the center of the evidence is a recorded confession from Dwayne Keef D. Davis, the man now charged with Tupac's murder. What Davis told federal authorities in 2009 significantly reshaped the understanding of what happened that night in Las Vegas. According to Keef D., Diddy allegedly offered $1 million to have both Suge Knight and Tupac killed, making the offer a room full of gang members, people he claimed were capable of acting on it. The intended targets were both men riding in the BMW, but only one was killed. Tupac was struck by 4 bullets, while Suge Knight survived after being hit by fragments. Keef D. further alleged that half of the promised payment was made, not to him directly, but to someone else inside the car, the same person who had stolen a Death Row Records chain at Lakewood Mall just days before the shooting. That chain carried enormous significance, as every artist signed to Death Row received one, and taking was considered the ultimate sign of disrespect. DJ Vlad, who interviewed Keef D. extensively, explained why this confession is no longer viewed as mere rumor. He revealed that he had known since around 2007 that Orlando Anderson was responsible for Tupac's killing, describing it as one of the worst-kept secrets in Los Angeles. As he explained, the goal was never to get anyone arrested, but simply to uncover the truth. The lingering question has always been why Keef D. would incriminate himself on camera. Vlad speculated that Keef D. believed he was protected by a proffer agreement, which he thought granted him immunity. He also believed he was battling cancer at the time and may not have thought he had much time left. For years, that legal protection complicated the case. The confession was obtained under a proffer agreement, making it unprosecutable at the time. Keith D could speak freely during the 2009 interview without fear of charges. That was the deal. However, the situation changed once he began repeating the same details publicly. Through BET's Death Row Chronicles, his memoir Compton Street Legend, and multiple Vlad TV interviews viewed by millions. Each time he spoke outside that protected setting, he gradually removed his own legal shield. According to the account, Orlando Anderson leaned across the car and fired, a final detail that would later resurface repeatedly as investigators revisited the case. We rolled down the window and popped him. When asked who they were, the response was, "They drove on my side. I was popped. You know what I'm saying? But they were on the other side." Now, Keith D sits in custody awaiting trial, and from behind bars, his story has changed dramatically. "I didn't kill nobody. Never did ever kill nobody. They don't have no evidence against me. He came and put me in Las Vegas," he said. 61-year-old Dwayne Keith D. Davis maintains that on the night of the murder, September 7, 1996, he was not responsible. His defense strategy is almost paradoxical. Prove that Keith D is a liar. If he lied in interviews, in his book, and in public statements, then his attorneys argue he may have lied during the proffer as well. The more unreliable the jury believes him to be, the stronger his defense becomes. But there's another layer to this story: the retaliation that followed Tupac's death. According to Greg Kading, the murder of Biggie Smalls was the response. 6 months after Tupac was killed in Las Vegas, violence struck again, this time in Los Angeles. Kading stated that the retaliation involved a solicitation by Suge Knight to have a member of Bad Boy Records killed. That target, he explained, was Sean Combs. 2 hip-hop legends were gunned down, with the East Coast-West Coast feud claiming them both. According to the documentary, one man allegedly stood at the center of it all. The series features Kirk Burroughs, Bad Boy's co-founder, who kept detailed journals throughout his time at the label. He documented everything. 30 boxes of handwritten notes covering expenses, meetings, and unusual requests, including car rentals from New York to Las Vegas shortly before the Tyson fight, where Tupac was killed. Euros also filed a lawsuit against Diddy containing similar allegations. He claimed Diddy harbored intense jealousy toward Tupac, and that the growing friendship between Tupac and Biggie posed a threat. According to the lawsuit, that jealousy helped create a dangerous environment that ultimately cost both rappers their lives. Prosecutors further argue that Davis incriminated himself in his 2019 memoir, Compton Street Legend, as well as in on-camera interviews where he stated that the shots came from the back. When asked who fired, he answered directly. What makes this moment different from everything that came before is its nature. This is no longer rumor, street gossip, or conspiracy theory. It is recorded testimony given to federal authorities, black and white evidence of an alleged conspiracy that stretches back nearly 30 years. Diddy has consistently denied any involvement, with his team dismissing the claims as pure fiction. Las Vegas police have also confirmed that he was never considered a suspect. Still, the allegations continue to grow, more witnesses are speaking out, and the documentary keeps attracting a wider audience. 50 Cent spent 2 years building this project for a reason. He wanted the public to understand what investigators say they have known for years. Now, recorded evidence sits in federal hands. Keith D's own words to authorities in 2009, describing an alleged $1 million bounty offered by Diddy. According to those claims, the hit was meant to take out both Suge Knight and Tupac, and when only one target was killed, an alleged $500,000 payment went to the man who stole the Death Row Records chain. For decades, the case remained buried under legal loopholes and a code of silence on the streets. But Keith D ultimately broke his own protection. He spoke on BET, published a memoir, and sat down with Vlad TV, repeating to millions what he had previously told investigators behind closed doors. The documentary suggests the evidence may go beyond confessions alone. Some of it, the filmmakers argue, may have been hiding in Diddy's own music. In 1999, 3 years after Tupac's murder, Black Rob released a track titled Muscle Game, featuring Mark Curry and Mario Winans. Buried within the song is a verse performed by Diddy himself. one that largely went unnoticed at the time and remained hidden in plain sight for more than 25 years. In the verse, Diddy references making people disappear, wiping records from the radio, removing birth certificates from files, and going after entire families. The threats escalate line by line, culminating in a striking lyric that mentions putting $1 million on someone's head. That figure mirrors the same amount Keith D referenced in police interviews when discussing the alleged hit on Tupac. According to court documents, Davis claimed that Diddy offered $1 million to resolve what he described as the problem involving Suge Knight and Tupac. That night in Las Vegas, only Tupac was killed, so according to the allegation, only half of the promised payment was made. Then, 3 years later, Diddy appeared to reference that exact figure in the song. Critics argue this was not metaphor or simple rap bravado. Since the Netflix documentary was released, fans revisiting the lyrics say they're connecting dots that were always there. Questions have followed ever since. Why would someone record material that could be interpreted as incriminating? How did 50 Cent obtain such footage? Even media figures expressed disbelief, noting how shocking it was to hear and see such moments captured on camera so early in the documentary. For many observers, the explanation comes down to one word: arrogance, a level of unchecked narcissism, they argue, where some individuals feel compelled to reveal their actions, needing recognition even if the confession is hidden in plain sight. Patrick Bet-David, who has followed the case for years, has offered a sharp analysis, pointing to an ego that demands acknowledgement and a narcissism that seeks validation. In that view, music became a kind of confessional space, used under belief that accountability would never follow. And it wasn't limited to a single song. Diddy's verse on 50 Cent's 2007 I Get Money remix also raised eyebrows, with lyrics referencing shootouts, coastal rivalries, and lawyers skilled enough to secure acquittals. When asked about those lyrics on The Breakfast Club, 50 Cent distanced himself, saying Jay-Z wrote the portion about shootouts and East Coast, West Coast tension, adding that he wasn't around for that era. He then mentioned Keith D and Stop Short, a moment many listeners felt spoke volumes on its own. On G-Dep's 2001 track, Let's Get It, Diddy rapped about running the city and daring law enforcement to come after him. To critics, the pattern felt consistent. The bravado never faded. And online, fans have continued to dissect every lyric, keeping the debate alive and relentless. One commenter wrote that Diddy never even tried to hide anything. Another said he was self-incriminating before it was ever considered bold. Even Eminem entered the conversation. On his 2024 track Fuel, fans point to what they call one of the sharpest bars in recent memory. He spells out the word rapper, but deliberately leaves out a P, then references both Biggie and Tupac, implying they should still be alive, before ending the line with a nod to Keith D. The wordplay was precise, and many fans believe Eminem had been trying to signal this story for years. Patrick Bet-David's connection to the case goes beyond commentary. For him, it is deeply personal. 2 years ago, before Diddy's arrest, Patrick attended an NBA game and noticed Diddy sitting across the arena with one of his girlfriends. The two locked eyes and held their stare for nearly 2 full minutes. Neither looked away. Patrick later said it wasn't about business or ego. It was about Tupac. Growing up, Tupac was one of the most influential figures in Patrick's life. The poetry, the passion, and the raw honesty in every verse left a lasting impact. To him, Tupac's death was unforgivable. And with every investigation, documentary, and interview he followed over the years, the narrative kept circling back to the same name. Body language experts have also weighed in, analyzing Diddy's reactions whenever Tupac's name is raised. They point to repeated face-touching, rapid head movements, and verbal deflection when he is directly questioned about documentaries alleging his involvement. According to these analysts, the behavior appears highly avoidant and may suggest what they describe as guilty knowledge, not necessarily proof of committing a crime, but awareness of information tied to one. For decades, much of the entertainment industry remained silent. The connections were too deep, and the fear was real. Many believe that nearly everyone was tied to Diddy in some way, and crossing him carried consequences no one wanted to risk. Had these allegations surfaced in the 1990s, the outcome might have been very different. At that time, Diddy had the power, the influence, the legal backing, and the money to make problems disappear. 50 Cent shares that same motivation, which is why he executive produced Sean Combs' The Reckoning. It's also why he chose to promote the documentary, through interviews on ABC specifically. 50 Cent knew exactly what he was doing. He wanted everyone connected to Diddy to see it. That choice wasn't random. It was a message to everyone Diddy ever worked with, everyone who knows something, and everyone currently behind bars who may still have stories to tell. Tupac Shakur died at just 25 years old, shot 4 times in a drive-by on the Las Vegas Strip. Suge Knight was in the passenger seat, struck by shrapnel in the head, watching his friend bleed out. And according to the documentary's narrative, somewhere inside a 1999 song, hidden between verses most people ignored, Diddy allegedly told the world exactly what happened. Now, the pieces are being brought together. The evidence is being compiled. The lyrics are being re-examined. Body language is being analyzed. And a culture that once shielded its most powerful figures is finally asking the questions it should have asked decades ago. That 1999 track with Black Rob, the lyrics playing on repeat for years, is now being heard with fresh ears. For 25 years, the clues sat hidden in plain sight, and the man accused of orchestrating $1 million hit allegedly couldn't resist leaving traces of it in his own music. Some people can't help themselves. They feel compelled to tell someone. And in this case, the suggestion is that he told everyone, on record, for more than 2 decades. But the lyrics were only the beginning. What followed would strike even closer to home for Biggie and for everyone in Diddy's inner circle. Kirk Burroughs, a co-founder of Bad Boy Records, owned 25% of the company when it was formed. What many people didn't know is that the remaining 75% was allegedly placed under his mother's name. According to Burroughs, that decision had nothing to do with family loyalty. It was strategy. The City College stampede left 9 people dead after a celebrity basketball game promoted by Diddy turned into a deadly crush. Thousands showed up to a gym that could only hold a fraction of that number. Jason Swain was just 17 years old at the time, spending time with his older brother Dirk, who was home from Hampton University. Jason did not attend the student government, sponsored celebrity basketball game hosted by Heavy D and a then little-known music producer named Sean Diddy Combs. Reports later claimed that as many as 5,000 people crowded into the gym. No criminal charges were ever filed, but civil lawsuits soon followed. According to Kirk Burroughs, Diddy structured his company in a way that shielded him from financial responsibility to the victims' families. Around the same time, the up-and-coming Combs was cut from his label, yet no one was ever criminally charged. Civil lawsuits filed by the families against Combs and 9 other defendants were ultimately settled out of court. Jason Swain has since turned his grief into a lifelong mission. His brother Dirk was one of the 9 people who died that night, and more than 33 years later, Jason says he is still waiting for someone to take responsibility. Then came 1996, and according to Burroughs, everything changed. In his lawsuit, Burroughs alleges that Diddy walked into his office carrying a baseball bat and made a simple demand: sign over your 25% ownership stake or face the consequences. Burroughs says he signed under duress, with no compensation and no negotiation, believing it was a matter of survival. He claims Diddy promised the stake would be returned one day, but that never happened. In 2003, Burroughs filed a lawsuit, but the court dismissed it, ruling that it fell outside the statute of limitations. Some even questioned his mental health. Burroughs says that for the next 25 years, he was effectively blacklisted from the music industry. Allegations and rumors circulated, including claims from people who said they had witnessed troubling behavior in the office. The parallels of other alleged victims, some observers noted, were striking. But the business fallout was only part of the story. The deeper issue involved 2 of hip-hop's greatest artists and a friendship that became a perceived threat. Tupac Shakur and the Notorious B.I.G. began as genuine friends, bound by mutual respect. Tupac invited Biggie to open his shows, and the 2 appeared together in interviews. Their bond was real. According to those close to the situation, Diddy resented that relationship. In their view, he saw his artist building a powerful connection outside of Bad Boy Records, and that, they say, changed everything. a relationship Diddy allegedly couldn't control, one involving a rival he reportedly viewed as a threat. Then came March 1997. Biggie was scheduled to fly to the UK after his Los Angeles appearances. The flight was booked and everything was set. Then, according to allegations, Diddy made a call. The flight was canceled. Biggie was redirected to New York, and his stay in Los Angeles was extended. This is what Kirk Burrows claims in the Netflix documentary. Biggie reportedly didn't want to remain in Los Angeles. 6 months after Tupac's murder, the city was considered enemy territory. Still, Diddy allegedly wanted to throw a West Coast party despite the risks. What makes the situation even more chilling are claims about what Biggie said beforehand. According to multiple people, he expressed a feeling that something bad was about to happen, that someone was going to take his life. On March 9th, 1997, Biggie was killed in a drive-by shooting as he left that party in Los Angeles. Afterward, something remarkable happened. The man who allegedly ignored repeated warnings was suddenly seen as the grieving best friend, the devastated partner, and the public face of a generation in mourning. The tribute song with Sting became one of the biggest records of the year, and Bad Boy Records organized what many described as the largest funeral New York had ever seen. But according to Burrows, there was a catch. He claims Diddy made the funeral expenses a recoupable charge against Biggie's estate. The grand farewell that portrayed Diddy as a loyal friend was, he alleges, ultimately paid for by Biggie himself after death. Then came Diddy's solo career. Before Biggie's passing, many in the industry questioned whether Diddy had genuine musical talent. He was widely viewed as a businessman, a manager, someone skilled at controlling situations behind the scenes. But tragedy changed everything. His first solo album rode the wave of public grief. Suddenly, he wasn't just an executive. He became the symbol of hip-hop loss, the man who had lost his best friend. Critics point to a troubling pattern. The City College stampede killed 9 people, and Diddy's profile rose. Tupac was murdered, removing a major rival. Biggie was killed, and Diddy launched his solo career. Each tragedy, they argue, coincided with his ascent, and the story extends beyond artists. Andre Harrell founded Uptown Records and was the man who gave Diddy his start, bringing him in as an assistant and mentoring him in the music business. Uptown was Andre Harrell's creation, and he allowed Diddy to intern in the A&R department, artists and repertoire, where talent is discovered and developed. Diddy's ambition was clear from the beginning. He wanted to be the next Russell Simmons, the next Berry Gordy. But that ambition came at a cost. According to people who worked there, Diddy's temper at Uptown became legendary. Some say that's where the nickname Puffy originated, because he would visibly puff up with anger when he didn't get his way in musical decisions. What started as a joke eventually stuck, becoming Puff Daddy. Those who witnessed the dynamic describe frequent clashes between Diddy and Andre Harrell. Eventually, Andre fired him, not out of resentment, but because Diddy had outgrown mentorship. He would only listen to Andre, and Andre no longer had the time or desire to manage someone else's ego. When Diddy left Uptown Records, Andre allowed him to take one artist with him, Biggie Smalls. That single decision would go on to change hip-hop forever. From the original Uptown Records team, only 2 remain, Puffy, Diddy, and Al. Uptown Records began with 5 key figures, Andre Harrell, Al Shore, Heavy D, Kim Porter, and Sean Diddy Combs. Today, 3 of them are gone. Kim Porter and Heavy D are deceased, and Andre Harrell recently survived a near-fatal coma. That leaves only one person from the original group healthy and thriving. According to sources featured in the documentary, the 3 who passed away were reportedly working on tell-all books before their deaths. Books that could have exposed what they knew about Diddy's operations. What about the court case? The documentary includes interviews with actual jurors from Diddy's trial, and their statements are striking. Some jurors sided with him, believing the accusers were trying to exploit a wealthy man, or that there was conspiracy against him. The exclusive footage obtained by Netflix even shows Diddy debating strategy with his lawyers. Listen to me. I'm going to get off the phone right now, and I am going to let you professionals look at the situation and come back to me with a solution. In the end, Diddy was convicted on 2 counts of transportation under the Mann Act, but acquitted of the most serious charges, including sex trafficking and racketeering. He was sentenced to 50 months, with time served. Do the math. He'll be free by the next election cycle. Even after decades of controversies, the City College deaths, Tupac's murder, Biggie's killing, and countless allegations, some say the Netflix footage reveals his true character. 50 Cent has called him the biggest dirtbag in the industry. Investigations into Tupac's death consistently led back to Diddy, and those who knew him cite three driving forces behind his actions: envy, control, and the spotlight. No one else could shine. Not Tupac, not Biggie, not Kurt Burrows with his 25%, not Andre Harrell who gave him a start, not Heavy D who introduced him to the industry. Diddy had to be the star, the name everyone remembered. Kurt Burrows spent 25 years blacklisted and homeless, meticulously documenting everything in journals while working at Bad Boy. Those journals eventually became evidence, allowing his story to be told. Meanwhile, 9 families from City College are still awaiting closure. Tupac's case has finally seen progress after nearly 30 years. Biggie's murder remains unsolved. And the man at the center of it all? He is set to walk free before the next election. The pattern is documented. The bodies are counted. The truth is finally emerging. 50 months. That's what decades of alleged manipulation, betrayal, and bodies left behind amount to in the eyes of the law. And the story isn't over. But for the first time, it's being told. Like and subscribe for more updates.